Hi all, this is I Drink Paint, and today I'll be painting a ghost in a teacup. So I'm going to be saying some facts about tea that you don't want to know about, so yeah. Tea is the second most consumed beverage on the planet after water, so good job for being hydrated, people. It even has a greater consumption than coffee, so that's cool. Tea is a beverage derived from the leaves from a plant called Camellia sinensis. Excuse my enunciation. I'm very good at Latin, by the way. If your tea doesn't contain leaves of Camellia sinensis, if your tea doesn't contain leaves of Camellia sinensis, then it's not actually tea. It's known as tisane. There are 4 basic types of tea derived from Camellia sinensis plant, possibly 5 or 6. And the main varieties are black, white, green, and oolong. Some of the top tea drinking countries are Turkey, Ireland, the UK, Iran, Pakistan, Russia, Morocco, and New Zealand, and Chile. I actually don't like tea. I don't like warm water. The people who just drink warm water because it's better for your immune system, and cold water, it takes more energy to digest cold water or whatever. I don't like warm water. Like, some of my least favorite things to eat are like cherry tomatoes and warm water. It disgusts me. I don't get it. Also, y'all have to trust the process right here. I don't know what I was doing. Trust the process, people. Okay, here's some ghost stories. So yeah. This one is La Llorona, the weeping woman of the Southwest. One evening, as Maria was strolling with her 2 children on a shady pathway near the river, her husband came by in a carriage with an elegant lady beside him. He stopped and spoke to his children, but ignored Maria, and then drove the carriage down the road without looking back. After seeing this, Maria went into a terrible rage and turned against her children. She seized them and threw them into the river. As he disappeared downstream, she realized what she had done and ran down to the bank to save them, but it was too late. Maria broke into inconsolable grief, running down the streets, screaming and wailing. The beautiful La Llorona mourned them day and night. During this time, she would not eat and walked along the river in her white gowns, searching for her boys, hoping they would return to her. She cried endlessly as she roamed the river banks, and her gown became soiled and torn. When she refused to eat, she grew thinner and appeared taller until she looked like a walking skeleton. Still a young woman, she finally died on the riverbanks. Not long after, her restless spirit began to appear, walking the banks of Santa Fe River when the darkness fell. Her weeping and wailing became a curse of the night, and people began to be afraid to go out after dark. She was said to have been seen drifting between the trees and along the shoreline, or floating on the current with her long white gown spread out upon the waters. On many nights, people saw her walking along the riverbank and crying for her children, and so they no longer spoke of her as Maria, but La Llorona, the weeping woman. Children are warned not to go out in the dark, for La Llorona might snatch them, throwing them to their deaths in the flowing waters. Our next one is The Face, excerpted from Spooky Indiana, retold by S.E. Schlosser. The medical student toppled into love as soon as he set eyes on Sheila, the beautiful new transfer student. She had masses of long black hair and eyelashes so long they tangled in her curls when she leaned over her desk. The medical student had a withdrawn nature, though not by inclination. He learned that the hard way, that people avoided him when they heard about his insane father, locked away in an asylum. But he had to overcome his taciturn nature or risk losing Sheila to one of the other fellows that panted after her. So the medical student volunteered to tutor her, Sheila, in one of her classes. After that, it was easy. Sheila toppled into love with the medical student as madly as he was in love with her. They went everywhere together, hardly bearing to part for classes. The medical student lived in a bubble of joy until the day he saw Sheila speaking to a good-looking fellow who lived in the same dorm. They were laughing together over something one of their professors had said in their history class. and a shaft sheer of jealousy pierced the medical student's gut. How dare she laugh with another man? He confronted his Sheila with her perceived trespass, and she stared at him incredulously. "You're crazy," she said. He winced, reminded of his father, and shouted insults at Sheila until she stalked off in rage. They made up over dinner, and things were fine for a while, until the medical student saw Sheila borrow a pen from a handsome blonde fellow at the library. That sent him off again. They hissed angry words at each other until the librarian kicked them out. The medical student huddled on the dorm bed in his dorm room until black anger gave way to common sense. He called Sheila and apologized. She accepted his apology, and they were back together. The medical student was scheduled to take Sheila to the local dance on Friday night, so he rushed back to the dorm to dress in his best. As he turned to leave, the medical student noticed that a scalpel had fallen out of his medical bag and lay haphazardly on his desk. He thrust it carelessly inside the bag and went to pick up his girlfriend and escort her to the dance. The couple had had a fabulous evening, dancing and drinking and eating. They left the party around midnight and walked hand in hand back to his dorm for a nightcap. When he reached the entryway, Sheila veered off for a moment to ask a red-haired fellow from one of her art classes about an assignment that was due the next day. The medical student was instantly filled with a gut-gnawing jealousy. When Sheila rejoined him, he hustled her upstairs to his room and shouted, "You flirt with every man you meet, you tramp." "You're crazy," Sheila shouted back, stark raving mad. The boyfriend saw red. "Don't call me mad," he said. His hand groped for the loose scalpel in his medical bag on the desk. When the mist cleared from his eyes, Sheila lay dead at his feet, her throat cut from ear to ear. The whole room was covered in red gore, and her masses of black hair lay in the pool of steaming blood. The medical student's brain went to overdrive, hide the body, clean up the blood, invent an alibi. But first, he stared at the dead girl he loved so much. Then he knelt beside the body and slowly cut off her face. He wrapped the face carefully in plastic before putting it in his desk drawer. Then he cleaned up the blood and hid the body in a tunnel near the laundry room. The next morning, the medical student told his roommate Sheila had broken up with him and gone home in a snit without finishing her classes. The roommate accepted the story without question, and didn't appear to notice the way the medical student peered obsessively inside his desk drawer. The medical student finally tore himself away from Sheila's face to attend his 11 o'clock class. When he returned at lunchtime, he found his roommate leaning out of the open window, looking ill. I think I have flu. I best run to the pharmacy and pick up something for it," the roommate said when he came in. "Want me to take a look?" the medical student asked, reaching for his bag. His roommate turned white. "No, thank you. Don't bother," he gasped, practically running from the room. The medical student shrugged in exasperation, peered into the drawer of Sheila's face, and settled down to work on a paper he had due next week. Downstairs, his roommate was on the phone with the police. The medical student went ballistic when the police came with a warrant to arrest him. They manhandled him out of the chair while a grim-faced officer took a look in the desk drawer. When he saw the dead girl's face, the officer swore violently and vomited onto the floor. The medical student was placed in the asylum with his father, who was locked away in a padded room next door. Every day, while his enraged father tried to kill his attendants, the befret boyfriend wept and stared out the window, seeing Sheila's lovely face in the branches of the nearby tree. The face seemed to sway to the rhythm of his father's fists as his insane parent pounded and pounded the walls. Back in the dorm, the ghost of a young girl in a blood-stained dress still floats along the hallways, searching for her face. Our next story is Bloody Mary. Many of you may recognize the name Bloody Mary, appearing in a mirror when chanting her name 3 times. This is excerpted from Spooky Pennsylvania, retold by S.E. Schlosser. She lived deep in the forest in a tiny cottage and sold herbal remedies for a living. Folks living in the town nearby called her Bloody Mary and said she was a witch. None dared cross the old crone for fear that their cows would go dry, their food stores rot away before winter, their children sick of fever, or any number of terrible things that an angry witch could do to her neighbors. Then the little girls in the village began to disappear, one by one. No one could find out where they had gone. Grief-stricken families searched the wood, the local buildings, and all the houses and barns, but there was no sign of the missing girls. A few brave souls even went to Bloody Mary's home in the woods to see if the witch had taken the girls, but she had denied any knowledge of the disappearance. Still, it was noted that her haggard appearance had changed. She looked younger, more attractive. The neighbors were suspicious, but they had no proof that the witch had taken their young ones. Then came the night where the daughter of the miller rose from her bed and walked outside, following an enchanted sound no one else could hear. The miller's wife had a toothache and was sitting up in the kitchen treating the tooth with an herbal remedy when her daughter left the house. She screamed for her husband and followed the girl out of the door. The miller came running in his nightshirt. Together they tried to restrain the girl, but she kept breaking away from them and heading out of town. The desperate cries of the miller and his wife woke the neighbors. They came to assist the frantic couple. Suddenly, a sharp-eyed farmer gave a shout and pointed towards a strange light at the edge of the woods. A few townsmen followed him out into the field and saw Bloody Mary standing beside a large oak tree, holding a magic wand that was pointed towards the miller's house. She was glowing with an unearthly light as she set her evil spell upon the miller's daughter. The townsmen grabbed their guns and pitchforks and ran towards the witch. When she heard the commotion, Bloody Mary broke off her spell and fled back into the woods. The far-sighted farmer had his loaded gun with silver bullets in case the witch ever came after his daughter. Now he took aim and shot at her. The bullet hit Bloody Mary in the hip, and she fell to the ground. The angry townsmen leapt upon her and carried her back into the field, where they built a huge bonfire and burned her at the stake. As she burned, Bloody Mary screamed a curse at the villagers. If anyone mentioned her name aloud before a mirror, she would send her spirit to revenge herself upon them for her terrible death. When she was dead, the villagers went to the house in the wood and found the unmarked graves of the girls the evil witch had murdered. She had used their blood to make her young again. From that day to this, anyone foolish enough to chant Bloody Mary's name 3 times before a darkened mirror will summon a vengeful spirit of the witch. It is said that she will tear their bodies into pieces and rip their souls from their mutilated bodies. The souls of these unfortunate ones will burn in torment, as Bloody Mary once was burned, and they will be trapped forever in the mirror. So yeah, fun stuff, yeah? Being mutilated. Also, comment below if you actually like warm water. I don't think those people exist, but if they do, and not flavored water, not tea, not sparkling water. I mean, who drinks? Is sparkling water still warm? Is it still sparkling when you warm it up? I don't know. I don't like sparkling water. I don't like sparkling water that much either. Also, sorry, I don't know if y'all can notice, but my camera moves, like, it just starts shifting or crashing out, so sorry. I'm running out of things to talk about. I am not prepared for this. I literally have no clue what to talk about. You know those machines that make, like, anything, like, sparkling water? I don't know what they're called, but, like, you put it in the can, and it puts the carbon dioxide bubble magic into the thing and it turns bubbly. Have you seen that? Does that work for like hot like drinks? Like, could you have sparkling hot chocolate? Is that a thing? I love hot chocolate. Kind of an healthy obsession. Like, I drink it through the summer, and summers here are like 105 degrees, and that's not stopping me. I actually don't drink it a lot in the winter though. It's like fall and summer are the big ones. I don't know why. Do you guys know about lampreys? I ran out of stuff to talk about for the ghosts, but like, have y'all heard about lampreys? They're like a jawless fish. It's not an eel, but it looks a lot like an eel, and it has like forgot, it's like either 7 or 9 gill openings on the side and 2 eyes. They're the cutest little thing. They have like a disc for a mouth, and it kind of looks like a passion fruit. I was gonna save this yapping for my next video, but I ran out of ghost talk because I underestimated how long this video was gonna be. Okay, so there's like, I think 12 genuses, and some are parasitic, but they don't kill their hosts. They attach onto their hosts and they eat like the flesh and bodily fluids, and once they get full, they just kind of fall off. You know, very courteous. You know, a good parasite never kills its host. You know, that's a pretty good rule in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure the other half just either eats like stuff off of rocks, or they just live off of whatever they ate when they were a larva. Oh, and apparently they're a lot like salmon, and they taste really good apparently. I've never had one, but I like eel and salmon. So if they're like a combination of eel and salmon, then I'm all in. Yeah, I'm actually gonna pull up a picture of one right here if I figure out how to do that. They're the cutest. You might have actually seen them. They kind of look like the thing from Stranger Things, you know? I've never watched it, but I think its name is Vecna. I don't know. I've never watched it. Is it good? I heard the new season just came out. I have no idea what's it about. I don't know what's it about. I don't know what it is about. Also, another parasite is parasitic wasps. I used to really like wasps for some reason. I know they're like evil bees or whatever, but like, so there's like these wasps that will lay eggs on other insects, and when the eggs hatch, they'll eat whatever insect they're on. And yeah, like, you know, that's good parenting right there, you know, ensuring your kids have a healthy future or whatever. There's one that like lays specifically on ladybugs, and then like on its stomach, and so when it hatches, it doesn't kill the ladybug. It's kind of just like a zombie, and it protects like I'm not sure if it's a cocoon or a thing of eggs, but it like the ladybug like hugs it and protects it, and then when it hatches, it like eats it. I think I already said that. And there's like even parasitic wasps that are parasitic to each other, and like they're like there's like some that are extremely like microscopic, which is crazy in my opinion. You know, you might even have a microscopic piece of sand, wasp, parasite, whatever on you right now. Probably not, unless any of you guys are like caterpillars. If you are, good for you, you know? I used to raise butterflies actually, and you know, if some would, you know, the ones that come in like the cups with like the little insect food on the bottom. Okay, anyway, so when they'd become chrysalises, they would go to the top, and yeah, they'd just hang there. And the littler ones that didn't form quickly enough, they would just start eating their siblings, like just killing the other cocoons or chrysalises. And most of them that got eaten would die, but some would actually like live, which is pretty interesting in my opinion. You know, that's survival of the fittest or whatever. And when they'd come out of their chrysalises, there was like this red dye that'd always be all over the netting. And you know, I was like 5, so I don't know how butterflies worked. And apparently that's the dye of the butterflies that like are wiping off, like, you know, they're freshly colored whatever, and they come out of their chrysalises, and like all the netting is like dyed red orange. So it looks like they're dying, but they're not apparently. Yeah. You know, I have always wanted like a tarantula, like, you know, those rose-haired tarantula or like a scorpion. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh no, you know, at those like natural history museums or whatever, and they have like that gift shop, they always have like a Madagascar hissing cockroach, and I've always wanted one. I don't know, I think they're so cool. And they like hit so like a cat, but they're pocket-sized and they're shiny. And they're from Madagascar, so they're exotic or whatever. I don't know, what do cockroaches eat? Like dead stuff, right? I think so. Oh, did you know that if you cut off a cockroach's head, it can live for like 3-4 weeks? Because cockroaches, they don't breathe through their mouths, you know? Because they have in their, I think thorax or abdomen, please correct me, they have little air holes that they breathe through, and they usually die because of either hunger, starvation, or infection, because you know their head got chopped off. And you know, those things are way too resilient in my opinion. Like, you can stomp on those things and they just don't die. Also, have you heard of like ants, just like in general? Of course you've heard of ants, but like there's like a ton. Have you heard like my favorite kind of ant is like, I forgot, they're called weaver ants, I think. They're like in the rainforest, and they create like these beautiful nests. Well, I've never seen one, but I've watched like the Kyrgyz Scott on it. So like these weaver ants, they make these intricate nests out of leaves and like silk, but they take their larvae, and instead of the larvae making cocoons, ants make cocoons if you didn't know. So they take the larvae and use the silk that was meant for the cocoons and use that to glue their little fancy nests together, which I think is pretty smart for some ants. And society should, I feel, work like ants. I think they got it. Well, I mean, they do go to war like every day, like with neighboring colonies, so maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. But you know, it works for them, so good job to them. Also, I'm doing like a terrible job narrating here. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing painting, but you know, I think it looks pretty good right now. Oh, did you know that, random fact here, but did you know that when like an invading insect comes into like a bee nest, they all like crowd around it and like flap their wings really hard, and they like bake that insect alive. It like, they overheat it and it just kind of dies. I mean, for some bees that's pretty hardcore in my opinion. Like, they just kind of cook it. I realize now that I was intentionally trying to talk about ghosts and tea, but I didn't find enough stories, because I was like, oh yeah, 3 stories can definitely last half an hour, but it cannot. So I'm just yapping about insects, because I really like bugs. I was thinking about doing like an insect painting, so I could have an excuse to make this talk, but I actually really don't like painting butterflies or flowers. I just think it's really boring, in my opinion, because like butterflies, it's the same design on both sides, and I never know what to do. Although I really like butterflies, but I just don't like painting like butterflies or flowers in general, you know? Back to spiders, because I feel like I didn't talk about those enough. I really like spiders. I don't know, but like when they're like, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the black widow spider. It's like, the scary black spider with the red hourglass. It's actually on their the hourglass is actually not on their back, it's on their stomach. And there's something called a mock widow, and it's also black. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember exactly, so don't take my word for it exactly, but it's not as glossy and has a red pattern on its back instead of its stomach. And one time when I was like in middle school, I was camping, and a girl found a spider in her shoe. And I came over, and I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll take care of it for you. And I picked up her shoe, and I was like, don't worry, it's just a mock widow. And as I walk over to dump it in the grass, I take a real good look at it, and I'm like, oh wait, that's a real black widow. And they all start screaming, and that's pretty funny. And I used to have this thing where whenever I found a cockroach in like my classroom, I would pick it up with my bare hand. Dead cockroach, I think. Most of the time it was a dead cockroach. I'd pick it up with my bare hand. That's nasty, don't do that. And I'd place it like on like someone's table, or on or on like their hair if I didn't like them. So that was pretty entertaining if I was bored, Have y'all seen like those fancy goldfish? Like the really chubby ones? Those are really cute. I'm pretty sure they're like super unhealthy, but I think they're super cute. They kind of look like orbs. No, I'm scratching that. I don't know what I was talking about. Wait, there's like some weird animals I just want to talk about real quick. So like there's a purple frog, and that is like the most, I don't know what purple frog, it's like the most, I have no idea what they do, but I've seen, they're like the most, I don't even have the words to describe this creature. I'm just gonna put a picture up there. Also, this is not like another animal. It's not like a specific animal. It's like a wet owl. If you've seen one before, there's like, it's so cute. It's so cute. They just look so sad. Last one, it's like a soft-shelled turtle, I think. I'm pretty sure they bite too. I don't know. I don't know anything about turtles. I don't know anything about reptiles, honestly. I'm a bird lady. Yeah, I mean, I used to do rodeo chickens, so for like the meat category, and sometimes the chickens we were raising, they're genetically bred to get extremely like large, and I think we had a chicken that ate so much her legs broke, so she couldn't stand, so that was pretty sad for her. I don't think we ever got any awards. Technically, it wasn't me, it was my older sister. It was like a long time ago too. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoy me yapping for like half an hour. Yeah. And bye, y'all. And yeah, this is the final result. I hope y'all like it. Have a good day, drink water, sleep well. Bye, thank you. And please like and subscribe.